After having a resounding summer window, Chelsea still look to be in trouble this season with their performances. Chelsea have 4 points after 4 games with 5 goals scored and 5 goals conceded, finding themselves 12th in the Premier League table. Mauricio Pochettino is facing a lot of tactical conundrums with his system. In our video today, we are going to analyze one particular area where Chelsea are struggling a lot, and that is how to break a lower block. In last season and in the previous seasons, Chelsea have struggled, especially at home, breaking lower blocks, teams coming to Stamford Bridge and sitting deep, soaking up pressure. There are 2 ways to break lower blocks. 1, playing with width and utilizing the full width of the pitch, and number 2, playing through, using individual player skills in tight positions to be able to break this lower block. And we are going to look at 2 teams which have done this perfectly. But before we do this, we are going to understand what is a lower block. Which teams are these that we define them as lower blocks? And we are going to explain this. So teams that play in a lower block primarily do not press high up the pitch, but rather emphasize on sitting deep, 2 banks of 4, and preventing opponents from scoring. So Pep Guardiola faces lower blocks in every match he plays. Unlike facing teams in the Champions League and top teams in the Premier League, most of the teams that encounter Manchester City normally position themselves in lower blocks. And who is the best person to explain how to break down a lower block rather than Pep Guardiola, who faces lower blocks every game? Another team that faces lower blocks is Liverpool, and Klopp has done it quite resoundingly in the past 4 seasons, breaking lower blocks, and we are going to see how he does this. But before we start this analysis, like, share and subscribe to our channel for more videos. So the first team is playing with the width, and our team of focus is Manchester City. So how does Manchester City employ the use of stretching the pitch to be able to break down lower blocks? That is our analysis, and we are going to see the patterns of play that Manchester City employ. And this is how it is. So lower blocks teams do not like to press teams such as Manchester City, but rather they sit in 2 banks of 4. So Guardiola forms his team in a 4-3-3 system. He emphasizes his wingers to stay wide, and his wingers need to be excellent 1v1 wingers. For example, look at how Manchester City are building from the back. Look at the position of Leroy Sané and Raheem Sterling in this setup. The wingers are staying quite wide, while West Ham has a bank of 4 in front of their goal line. Raheem Sterling is quick in dribbling in and cutting in and attempting those crosses. Look at the position of Sané, staying quite wide, pulling out the opposition fullback, with David Silva making that half-space run. And you can see how Aguero and Sterling are key in making those late runs. The position of 2 wingers gives teams tactical problems, since having 2 wingers who are excellent at dribbling will cause havoc for fullbacks. Therefore, fullbacks come out and try to force these wingers to play towards the byline where they can attempt crosses. But these teams have excellent centre-backs who win the ball most of the times. So Guardiola prefers having a front man of 5 players, with 2 attacking number 10s occupying the half spaces. The position of these 2 number 10s limits the opposition wingers from pushing forward to create counter-attack situations. Therefore, they always isolate the opposition fullback in a 2v1 system. Look, 2 wide players in the wide channels, the striker occupying the centre-back, with the 2 attacking number 8s positioning themselves in between the fullback and the centre-backs in the half spaces. You can see how excellently Manchester City are able to build through this Liverpool's mid block. The position of De Bruyne and David Silva with the dropping in Aguero is enabling Manchester City to easily beat this kind of system. And having creative players in this half space, you can see David Silva receives the ball and immediately plays in Sane, with Raheem Sterling making the far post run to finish it with an easy tap-in. Guardiola also positions his fullbacks in an inverted kind of system. So this position enables his creative attacking midfielders to also attempt shots on goal from these kinds of position. We've also seen his aggressive attacking inside forwards / attacking eights making these half space runs and attempting crosses, something that De Bruyne has done excellently, with Gundogan making late runs in the box to score after Haaland drags the centre backs deep. You should also understand that the position of Guardiola's wingers to be able to cut in and attempt shots on goal is the reason why the likes of Jack Grealish and Bernardo Silva are preferred in the wide areas. Jack Grealish in this position receives the ball, holds the ball till the entire team shifts across and leaves wide acres of space in the other side, where Riyad Mahrez can receive the ball through a quick switch of play and immediately kickstart Manchester City's counter-attack. Now, this system is what has led Guardiola to win the treble and win successive Premier League titles throughout his career at Manchester City. The ability to manipulate the half spaces and the wide spaces is something that you need to be actually perfect to be able to break down teams in lower blocks. The second system that can be employed is the system whereby you play through the deep block. This system is much harder than the previous system because in this system, you don't just need positional awareness, but rather you need individual skills. Players who are capable in playing in tight situations. The perfect example of this system is Liverpool's system under Jurgen Klopp. Klopp had one of the best front threes in breaking down lower blocks in Mane, Salah and Roberto Firmino. So this is how Liverpool played through these deep blocks. By having wingers coming in and making these diagonal runs, Liverpool's front three, especially Roberto Firmino, was quite impressive in making short link-up plays with Salah and Mane making diagonal runs between the fullbacks and the centre-backs. The position of Liverpool's fullbacks was also quite important, with Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andrew Robertson being key in the positions where Liverpool are able to overload opposition defenses with their ever accelerating and advancing fullbacks. And we're going to see how Jurgen Klopp has been breaking down lower blocks in the Premier League. So the fullbacks were quite staggered. You'd see that Salah and Mane will start high wide with the energetic midfield of Henderson, Fabinho and Ronaldo. So when Salah received the ball in these kinds of positions, being a little attacker, he will make these diagonal runs with Sadio Mane. And Trent Alexander-Arnold will also use his accurate passing accuracy to play these balls over the top for these diagonal runs being made by Salah and Sadio Mane. So when Fabinho sometimes received the ball, Liverpool used to operate with Firmino being a false nine, receiving the ball and immediately slipping the ball for the runs of Salah and Mane, who are making diagonal runs. And you're going to see that shortly. The position of Firmino in this team was quite crucial, and that of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Since Salah would be drifting out wide to receive the ball, being one of the best 1v1 wingers, the teams will be shifting in these kinds of instances. Trent will use his accurate passing accuracy to shift the ball to Robertson and then attempt a cross for Salah, who will now make this diagonal run, something that Liverpool did effectively. For example, look at this video. See how Firmino drops, receives the ball, uses his skill to play in Salah, who later scores an easy goal. This is a system that requires players who are skillful in receiving the ball in tight areas. Pochettino has preferred to play Chelsea in a 3-4-3 system. This system is good when you have wing-backs who know how to play in tight situations and you actually have forwards. But you're going to discuss why Chelsea is not succeeding this way in part 2 of this analysis of why Chelsea are failing to break lower blocks. We are going to see how Pochettino sets his team up and how Chelsea fail in breaking these teams down, after you've already seen a background study of how successful teams such as Liverpool and Manchester City are breaking down these teams. We've also done a video on how Arsenal beat Manchester United. Go to our timeline and check out this video. See our videos on how teams play pragmatic football in the